I would like to note that the interpreter for this evening is Mrs. Arcienega. Mrs. Arcienega, could you please raise your hand in the back? Please ask her for a listening device if you would like interpretation services. Antes de llamar a la Junta a orden, me gustaría notar que contamos con servicios de interpretación para esta Junta y la señora Arcienega está sentada atrás. On behalf of the City Council, I want to thank the first responders and our city staff for their quick and professional response at the Santa Maria Courthouse last Wednesday. As you know, the courthouse is just 1 block away from City Hall and the public library and some of our other city departments. A number of agencies cooperatively and swiftly apprehended the suspect. They quickly established a perimeter for the investigation, treated victims, and worked to render the scene safe and secure. We sincerely thank you for your contributions. I'd like to call this meeting to order for the City Council meeting of October 1st, 2024. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Aguilar Hernandez. Councilmember Cordero.
Here.
Councilmember Escobedo.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Soto.
Here.
Mayor Patino.
Here. Here. Thank you. City Attorney, Mr. Watson, could you please give the closed session report?
Yes, ma'am. With respect to items 3A and 3B, instructions were provided to the labor negotiators and instructions were provided to the real property negotiators relating to the property owned by Betaravia Park LLC. No further report is necessary.
Thank you. We'll now be presenting the proclamation. The first proclamation will be presented by Councilmember Soto.
Thank you. Whereas Active Aging Week is celebrated nationwide for all to appreciate the merit of benefits in adopting a healthier lifestyle. And whereas the City of Santa Maria observes Active Aging Week to inspire wellness through educational activities to convey the care and support of Santa Maria's older residents. And whereas it is recognized that the social well-being and community enrichment benefits the city's active aging population. And whereas the City of Santa Maria has committed to providing quality services to seniors, including leisure services, exercise classes, and whereas active adults who are physically and socially healthy contribute to the community as volunteers, mentors, and role models. And whereas for the past 13 years, the City of Santa Maria has acknowledged Active Aging Week in its continuous effort to recognize that healthier decisions affect the quality of life. Now, therefore, Alice Patino, Mayor of the City of Santa Maria, hereby proclaims September 30th through October 6, 2024 as Active Aging Week in the City of Santa Maria, representing all the dimensions of wellness with a focus on physical activity, life enrichment, social well-being, and community engagement for the senior population and future generations. And here to accept the proclamation is Jolene Simmons and Evelyn Marroquin. Evelyn was honored with an award from the Central Coast Commission for Senior Citizens in May during Older Americans Month. She was selected as the Social Worker of the Year for Santa Barbara County for her outstanding programs and services provided to seniors. Evelyn's dedication to active older adults is evident through her passion for serving various programs of need at the Elwyn Mussel Senior Center. We are proud to highlight this award for an outstanding recreation program specialist.
Yes, yes.
You first.
Do you want a picture?
I think he does.
Okay.
Come here. Good evening. I just want to thank you for this proclamation acknowledging Active Aging Week. My name is Carolyn Cabrera. I am the current president of the Santa Maria Valley Senior Citizens Club, and my first vice president, Jolene, is with me, Jolene Simons. Our club resides in the Muscle Senior Center. We work alongside the employees of the city of Santa Maria, especially with Evelyn. And we sponsor activities and our monthly free senior dances with the Riptide Dance Band the second Sunday afternoon of all months except July. Our free activities are open to seniors 50 and over. If you fit this age group, come on over, join the fun at the L1 Muscle Senior Center, and we have travel options if you are interested, which we can share with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carolyn. All right, thank you so much. My name is Evelyn, and I am the program specialist. I do generally love my job working with the senior community, planning the events for them. I know I have some crazy ideas, but they just fall for it, and I love it. So thank you again for continuously supporting the aging section. Thank you.
Thank you, Evelyn, and thank you very much, and congratulations on your recognition. The next proclamation will be presented by Councilmember Cordero.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To all that's listening, this is more than a proclamation. This is actually a public safety issue as well. So, whereas the City of Santa Maria committed to ensuring the safety and security to all those living and visiting in the City of Santa Maria, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and the greatest risk from fire is in the home. And whereas roughly 3 out of 5 fire deaths happen in homes with either no smoke alarm or with no working smoke alarm. And whereas smoke alarms sense smoke, alerting the occupants to danger in the event of fire, in which they may have as little as 2 minutes to escape to safety. And whereas residents should install smoke alarms in every sleeping room, outside each separate sleeping area, and on every level of the home. And whereas residents should ensure their smoke alarms meet the needs of all occupants, including those with sensory and physical disabilities, and test them once a month. And whereas the Santa Maria Fire Department is dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and fires injuries through prevention and education. And whereas in 2024 Fire Prevention Week theme, smoke alarms, make them work for you, serves as a reminder that having working smoke alarms in your home are an important part of the fire safety. Now, therefore, Alice Patino, Mayor for the City of Santa Maria, hereby recognizes October 6th through October 12th, 2024 as Fire Prevention Week in the City of Santa Maria, and encourages all occupants and residents to ensure that their smoke alarms are installed, check their smoke alarms every month, and plan to practice a home fire escape plan. This is witnessed here too, and the Mayor of the City of Santa Maria set her hand to and caused the seal of the great City of Santa Maria to be affixed here too on the first day of October 2024. And I got to share with you, Madam Mayor, when I first moved into our home where we live now, I was doing this escape thing and had my kids, of course, as many years ago, and I had them crawling out the window, and my neighbors were lining up on the street, and I thought, and I had a little ladder for them that I had made, and it was hilarious. As I think about it now, I can't imagine why they weren't out there watching me. So, and here to receive this is Jim Austin.
Madam Mayor, council members, thank you. Every year, the beginning of October signifies Fire Prevention Week throughout the nation. And this year, as you heard, it's smoke alarms or smoke detectors. I've been a fire investigator since 1997, and I've lost count how many times when I asked, how did you discover the fire? The occupants tell me the smoke detector, the smoke alarm woke us up 10 at night, midnight, 2 in the morning. They simply work. A residential fire structure fire doubles in size every 30 seconds. So you understand how important that 2 minutes is. It's not very much time. And when you imagine a fire doubling in size, depending on where it is in the residence, does it block escapes? Does it give you time to find a secondary escape? So again, I can't implore how important these are. And we will be spreading that message. I'd like to invite everybody this October 6th on Sunday. We will be at Open Streets spreading that message. We'll have a booth there. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you. The next proclamation will be presented by Councilmember Aguilera Hernandez.
Whereas the second week of October is designated as Code Enforcement Officer Appreciation Week throughout the state of California to recognize and celebrate the role code enforcement officers have in our communities. And whereas code enforcement officers provide for the safety, health, and welfare of residents through the enforcement of local, state, and federal laws and ordinances dealing with various issues of building, zoning, housing, animal control, environmental, health, and safety. And whereas code enforcement officers are dedicated, highly qualified, and highly trained professionals who strive to assist communities in the prevention of neighborhood deterioration, as well as enhance communities, ensure safety, and preserve property values. And whereas code enforcement officers often have a high visible role in the communities they serve and regularly interact with the public and a variety of federal, state, county, and local officials. And whereas the City of Santa Maria wants to recognize and honor its code enforcement officers who continue to serve the community in a variety of ways to improve the quality of life for residents and businesses. Now therefore, Alice Patino, the mayor of the City of Santa Maria, hereby designates the week of October 7th, 2024 as Code Enforcement Officer Appreciation Week in the City of Santa Maria to celebrate, recognize, and honor the Code Enforcement Division. In witness hereof, she signs by her hand to have caused the seal of the City of Santa Maria to be affixed hereto on this first day of October 2024. This is to be accepted by Don Palacios, the Code Enforcement Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and City Council members, for acknowledging the hard work and dedication that the Code Enforcement Officer Division, what we put into our community each day. We truly have an amazing team, and I'm very honored to be a part of it, so thank you. Also would like to extend an invitation for everyone to join us for Donuts and Coffee with Code Enforcement on Thursday, October 10th from 9 to 11 a.m. at the Community Development Department, and we're located at 110 South Pine Street. Hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know we'll be there. Anytime you offer food, people show up, you know we'll be there.
Absolutely.
So
You can't say no to coffee and donuts.
And thank you for everything you do in code enforcement.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Cordero. Oh, okay. Did you hear what Mr. Cordero said? I did not. Mr. Cordero?
I said especially since it's police food.
The next proclamation will be presented by Councilmember Escobedo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And this proclamation is for National Arts and Humanities Month. Whereas every October, organizations and communities across the country celebrate National Arts and Humanities Month, hosted by Americans for the Arts. And whereas National Arts and Humanities Month is the largest annual celebration for the arts and humanities in the nation, designed to encourage all Americans to explore new dimensions of the arts and humanities, appreciate the rich cultural heritage and the diversity surrounding them, and incorporate art into their lives. And whereas the City of Santa Maria recognizes the vital importance of the arts and humanities in shaping our community's cultural and civic life, and acknowledges the significant role played by artists, enthusiasm, performers, entertainers, and newcomers to the arts in fostering a vibrant community. And whereas the Recreation and Parks Department of Santa Maria is the primary department dedicated to encouraging and promoting the arts and humanities within our city, providing resources, programs, and events that highlight the diverse artistic expressions and the cultural heritage of our residents. And whereas the celebration of National Arts and Humanities Month in October provides a unique opportunity for the City of Santa Maria to join in this nationwide effort to support and elevate the importance of arts and humanities in our community and beyond. Now, therefore, be it solved, Alice M. Patino, Mayor of the City of Santa Maria, along with the City Council, do hereby proclaim October 2024 as National Arts and Humanities Month. And here to accept this proclamation, we have Sandra Dickerson, President of the Santa Maria Philharmonic Society Board, and Dennis Zimmerman, Interim Assistant Director of Recreation and Parks.
Well, on behalf of all of the arts organizations here in the City of Santa Maria, thank you very much for the recognition of Arts and Humanities Month. I think we will all agree that the arts in our community are absolutely essential to what I call the cultural fabric of Santa Maria. So thank you very much.
Good evening, and thank you very much. I just would like to say on behalf of the Rec and Parks Department, thank you for the continued support. I'd like to read just a little excerpt from a letter that we received from the Santa Barbara County Arts Commission. It is my pleasure to share that the Santa Barbara County Arts Commission has voted unanimously to recognize the City of Santa Maria as the 2024 County of Santa Barbara Leadership in Arts Award. So we are happy to be a recipient. We are thankful for your continued support for the arts and culture in Santa Maria, and we'll be accepting this award at the next supervisors meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next item will be a presentation of businesses of the quarter. I will be making the presentation along with Molly Schiff, Director of Advocacy and Initiatives for the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Mayor Patino and members of the council. It is my pleasure to be here today on behalf of the Chamber to recognize two great businesses in our community. We really appreciate the city's partnership in this Business of the Quarter program. So our first business is J&E Cleaning Services. And J&E Cleaning Services is a family-owned and operated business in Santa Maria. They offer a complete janitorial service in the Central Coast area. And they do a lot. They do residential, commercial, move in, move out, carpet cleaning, pressure wash, stripping and waxing, and window cleaning. Joe, who is here today, and his wife started the business back in 2009, and they are now one of the best cleaning companies in the area. I know one of his clients is here today as well. So they really specialize in move in and move out, helping customers, property management companies, and realtors prepare properties to put on the market. So that's another service they offer. They also do a lot of community support. They enjoy being able to give back to community, to nonprofit organizations like Fighting Back Santa Maria Valley and local churches. They donate a lot of their cleaning services to those organizations. and they are also sponsors of a variety of local high school clubs. And here today to accept this Business of the Quarter recognition for J&E Cleaning Services is owner Joe Gonzalez.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the advertisement.
Mr. Gonzalez? Yeah, just do you mind sharing with everybody how we can get in contact with your business?
Sure.
Take it.
Yeah. We started our business back in 2009. Just my wife and myself, a little by little, we're growing. We cover Santa Barbara County and San Luis Obispo County. And you can find us anywhere online. You will see our cards. This is my logo. We have like 14 cards in Santa Maria all the time. Also, we like to donate our services too. If you know someone that is in need, we'll be more than happy to help them. I like to give back to the community. Yeah, but you can find us online everywhere. It's our phone number is 805-922-6500, or you can just Google J&E Cleaning, and we'll be ready for you guys. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You can also check out the Chamber Business Directory if you need to find their information. Our second business tonight is Klondike Pizza. Unfortunately, they are unable to be here with us today, but I'm still going to share a little about them, and we will be giving them their recognition. We're going to go visit their business and take an excuse to enjoy a nice lunch there and give them that recognition. So Klondike founders and owners, Mike and Pam Dennis, moved from Alaska to Arroyo Grande in 1988 and opened their first location there, and then opened their second location in Santa Maria in 1996. They said that their goal from day one was to really be a part of the local community, serve pizza the way they love it, be a family-friendly restaurant that remains true to its origins rather than constantly changing with the trends. Throughout their 28 years in Santa Maria, they've sponsored countless youth teams, PTA elementary fundraiser nights, Toys for Tots fundraisers, and a variety of other organizations like many businesses do, super generous. A really cool program that they continue is with special education students and their teachers. They come 3 mornings a week to the local business from 9 to 11 to learn different tasks that are suited for the students' different abilities. And they say the program is really a win-win because it's really taught their crew at Klondike Pizza how to work with these kids and the youth. So, really cool program. And again, Pam is unable to be here today, but I wanted to still share about their business and give them this recognition.
Thank you very much. I wanted to share tonight that the City of Santa Maria also got a certificate, and we were sent some pictures also with all of us out there. You can't see them from there, but anyway, all the city staff and our fire chief was out there, our police chief was out there, and this was led by Mr. Wu. Where are you, Mr.? There you are over there. And they sent a picture of you. And what we did, we sold papers on the 11th annual Day of Hope. And so we made $679 just selling newspapers at $1 a paper out in the corner here. So thank you very much to all of our employees at the City of Santa Maria. So next item on the agenda is a presentation by the Santa Maria Philharmonic Society, and Sandra Dickerson, President of the Philharmonic Board, will be making the presentation.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share a little bit about our community orchestra, the Santa Maria Philharmonic. I'm going to give you a very high-level overview. There's a lot of detail on the slides. I normally do this in a much longer presentation, but I want to give you enough information to kind of know about what we have in this jewel here in Santa Maria. If I can turn this correctly. One, our music director, we are incredibly fortunate to have someone of the experience and the talent of Michael Novak, who's actually here with me this evening. Maestro Novak, this last Saturday night, did our opening concert, which many people have said is probably the best we've had out of the Santa Maria Philharmonic, and we've had some pretty incredible concerts. He just shared with me this is one that is so technically difficult. He's been waiting 9 years to do that. Particular concert, Scheherazade, The Storyteller of 1001 Nights. With our new concert master for this year, Bryn Albanese, doing the solos in that concert, it was truly an absolutely breathtaking event, and we were all just blown away by the evening. So again, we're very fortunate to have him with us in Santa Maria. For the rest of the organization, I do have the privilege of being the president of the board. We have a very strong board of directors. We have all part-time staff, including our executive director, that accomplish really a truly amazing amount of work among them. And then we also have a core of very highly talented professional musicians. I've said I didn't realize that people could get a PhD in a particular instrument until I joined the board of the Philharmonic. So that is the level of talent that we get the opportunity to hear here in this community. And for those who have not heard the orchestra, I've got a clip for you. I'm sorry, just a time, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I do want to thank the City of Santa Maria. 4 years ago, we were incredibly fortunate to have a donation to the Philharmonic of a concert grand piano. The city has partnered with us. The piano is actually stored in Shepherd Hall, and what we do for that is we do what we call a library series. We do 4 concerts per year that are free to the public. I'm thrilled to say that every one of those this year has been completely full. Shepherd Hall has been at capacity for every one of those. We just did one earlier in September with a quintet that again we packed City Hall or the Shepherd Hall. So again, we appreciate the opportunity to store that there, and it's a great way for people to come out to something free here in the community. Supporting our youth is an incredibly important part of what we do. We want to be able to foster not only the love of music, but classical music in particular here in the community, with the hope that some of them may go on and come back someday and be members of our orchestra. So we do a lot of work, including our music van, our Fly Me to the Moon concert, which Michael, it's a brilliant production that he has put together. Earlier this year, we did this concert for over 2,000 students here in the community. We then do the same concert as a family concert on the weekend, and we had 500 people at the family concert. So it's a huge event to bring the knowledge of classical music to our children. We also do annually, and this is one of our library series, we do a youth showcase, and we also, every 2 years, we do a student competition. And again, that's all of our ways of bringing the youth the opportunity to learn and enjoy classical music. We are working on an after-school strings program, and my and Michael's ultimate goal is we will have a youth orchestra in the city of Santa Maria, which again will help us build into our larger orchestra. So at our youth showcase in June of 2022, a young lady here in our community performed in that and was so talented and spectacular that Michael actually asked her to be our guest artist in our April 2023 season concert. Michael normally brings a professional musician from typically out of the area, Robert Thies and others, but Suri Kim was so phenomenally talented that she was our guest artist. And so in the clip that I'm going to play you next, it's important to keep in mind she was all of 14 when she got up in front of everyone and did this concert. So that's just an example of the talent that we have here in the Santa Maria community and why it's so important that we work hard to develop that and to give them also opportunities with the orchestra to be able to come and perform. Oops. Thanks. That wasn't going to let me move through. I guess not. Oh, there. So we have our upcoming season, as I said. We had our opening concert just this last Saturday, and we have 3 more concerts coming up. Our Baroque concert in December is always extremely popular, and we have a couple of other things in mind with that this year to make it even a little bit more special for the holidays. We are carrying forward into this season a couple of things that we started this last season, specifically, again, to try and encourage people to bring their children to experience the orchestra. One of those is if an adult buys a ticket to the orchestra, any of their children under the age of 18 can come for free. So it is just simply the price of one adult ticket. We also, this last Saturday, started what we are calling open rehearsal. Sometimes parents don't want to bring their children to the more formal concert on a Saturday evening, or they may not be able to kind of stay awake for that concert. So with the rehearsal, the last rehearsal right before that concert on a Saturday afternoon, parents can bring their children into the open rehearsal. Michael will actually stop during that. He'll give a little education to the children and talk to them about the music that they're hearing. So it's a great opportunity for those who may be, again, too young to come to an evening concert to be able to get that exposure and experience the classical music. And lastly, for those who have not experienced, the adults who haven't experienced the Philharmonic, we also have a 25% discount when someone purchases their tickets. They can use a code MEETSMPS and join us, and hopefully then become regular concert goers for the Santa Maria Philharmonic. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Dickerson. That was just great for everyone to see and people in Santa Maria to see that.
Yeah.
Did you want to make a
Yeah,
comment?
I think it's great to expose the children, so thank you guys for putting in the time. I know it's a lot of hours, a lot of hard work, and you guys do it for free. So thank you, Sandra and Maestro, for that presentation. Thank you.
So the next is a status update on the encampment response efforts in Santa Maria community. Assistant City Manager Chun Wu will be making the presentation along with the County of Santa Barbara.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. We're bringing you an update on homelessness and encampment response on a quarterly basis. So we had an update about 3 months ago, and today's update is primarily focused on the Santa Maria Riverbed because that's most of the action over the past month. And we have Joe Zvonek here from Santa Barbara County. He'll provide some information for us. We'll also have some statements from Sergeant Ruben Ramirez of the Rangers to give you this quick update. As mentioned, there was a lot of work in the Santa Maria Riverbed. There was what we call phase 1 of the cleanup, which took place in late July, early August. And this is really that area that's just immediately to the west of the 101 freeway. And this is a photo of that area this morning. This looks significantly better than what it did a couple months ago. And this is an area further to the west of what we call phase 1. This kind of captures phase 2 and phase 3. And there will be additional work later this month. Joe will probably get into this a little bit more. There's always an assessment of shelter space that's available, but as you're aware, the ruling from the city of Grants Pass has really given cities and counties a greater ability to take action on enforcement. And Santa Barbara County and SLO County that they've done that also with support from the city of Santa Maria. So even this area looks better than it did a couple months ago. This is an area on the east side of 101, and there are properties that the city of Santa Maria owns. And even this area looks pretty good. Again, this is taken just this morning. So I will turn the time over to Joe, who can provide a more comprehensive update.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, honorable members of City Council. I am Joe Dzvonek, the Assistant Director for Santa Barbara County's Housing and Community Development Division. I'm here today to keep a promise of personally providing this council quarterly updates on the county's efforts to address homelessness in and around the city of Santa Maria. Specifically, I will provide an update regarding the ongoing efforts to resolve encampments in the Santa Maria riverbed and the concept and status of our California Encampment Resolution Fund Round 3, what I'll refer to as SURF 3 for short, which is an $8 million award from the state to the county specifically to address vehicular homelessness. And first, I want to take a moment to thank the City of Santa Maria's Park Services officers for their daily support of our efforts at the riverbed, as well as multiple departments from the County of San Luis Obispo, as well as the Santa Maria Police Department. Over the past 2 months, the County of San Luis Obispo, the County of Santa Barbara, and the City of Santa Maria have developed a strong network of communication, coordination, and most importantly, a posture of action, responsibility, and mutual support to address this riverbed issue. So now, on to the purpose of my visit here today. I would like to present an overview of the collective efforts in the riverbed this past year. And I don't have any slides, so I'm just gonna tell you. The county has spent roughly $2.3 million addressing encampment resolution efforts in the Santa Maria riverbed. This amount includes $340,000 on cleanup efforts alone. And since April of this year, 5 separate riverbed encampment resolution phases have been undertaken. In April, encampments in the Seaward and Magellan areas were addressed, as well as encampments near Benito School Road. Phase 1 of the Prescott area resolutions efforts started in July. And then support to the Caltrans resolution cleanup efforts under the 101 overpass occurred in early September. And just today, we concluded 2 weeks of phase 2 resolution efforts of the Prescott area, of which there are 3 phases. Now, the results of these resolution efforts from the human perspective are as follows. 110 persons have received services from Good Sam's focused riverbed outreach team over the past year. 48 of these 110 have entered interim housing or shelter. 10 were sheltered during our efforts in the last few weeks alone, and 5 have been permanently housed. Now, moving forward, and in order to secure the progress we have made in cleaning up the riverbed, we hope to achieve an agreement between the 3 jurisdictions of San Luis Obispo County, Santa Barbara County, and the City of Santa Maria that allows for a dedicated, uniformed presence on the levee each day to immediately address the establishment of any new encampments. So now I'll move on to our vehicular homelessness strategy and our specific expectations for the Santa Maria area, and the update I have there is as follows. The SURF 3 plan, as I said, is an $8 million investment to address vehicular encampments across the entire county. $3 million of this funding is designated specifically to move people into permanent housing. The strategy does not include or require the establishment of new safe parking sites anywhere, but having a few more of them would certainly improve the ability to help this particular population. However, the plan simply intends to help people where they are regardless. When the county applied for this grant, we counted 53 vehicles associated with vehicular homelessness in 4 areas across Santa Maria to include what we call the Sunset Ridge area, the Railroad and Fairgrounds area, the Prescott and Romer area, and the Nicholson Betteravia area. And based on the number of vehicles in these prioritized areas, we estimate that about 15 to 20% of the SURF 3 award, or about $1.4 million, will be spent here in Santa Maria. Now, New Beginnings, the national innovator and leader of vehicular encampment efforts, is the contracted service provider for this effort. They have hired North County staff and have established a Santa Maria office location over on Miller. 15 persons experiencing vehicular homelessness in Santa Maria City have already been enrolled in New Beginning services. 5 of them have been relocated into interim housing. 6 have been permanently housed. This includes a family of 5 who have 3 children who are living in their vehicle. And yet another elderly Santa Maria resident was also housed right out of their vehicle. 2 more households are currently in the final stages to secure permanent housing. As always, thank you for your time, and this concludes my update.
Any questions, Mr. Devonick? Mr. Gobetto?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just more a comment. I want to commend Mr. Joe's effort. I was there, you were there on the ground, and that talks highly of your commitment to what you do. A lot of people can make decisions from an office, but you were there moving around, checking that everything was, everybody was following what they're supposed to be doing. So great way to lead by example. And I saw firsthand all the great effort to help the people that are living in an inhumane situation, and trying to help them. And it takes some time, of course, because there are so many regulations. So I'm looking forward to see that agreement between the 3 entities, so we can, once it's clean, how we can keep it like that, keep it safe for our families to go and enjoy the River Libby, go down and enjoy the, ride the bicycles, have some walk, let the kids go around and enjoy some family time. So thank you and the crew for everybody who has been part of this effort, and yeah, congratulations. And looking forward to keep working together.
I'd also like to thank you. I know every time I went out there, I didn't recognize you tonight because you're dressed up. So every time I see you, you're not dressed up. But thank you very much. Now, you told me that we had picked up, I can't remember, was it how many tons that we had picked up?
Yeah, just in phase 1 alone, which is in that picture there, it's essentially from the pathway to the 101. Fairly small area, but to be honest, I went to that area first because the density of the debris was so high, and there was more of a criminality aspect to some of the folks that were there. We wanted to kind of set that example right off the bat, but it was 102 tons, about 17 40-yard dumpsters of debris we're just taking out of an area that probably isn't much bigger than 2 of these rooms that we're in, and that's a lot.
I remember, and I cannot process 102 tons. But anyway, I want to thank you so much, Ms. Soto.
I too want to express my gratitude to you for facilitating this work, and most importantly, bringing these 3 agencies together to support the individuals and families that are currently unhoused in our community. I just want to make sure that I understood correctly a point that you made in your presentation, that out of the $3 million that was awarded to the county, 1.3 was being spent in the city of Santa Maria?
That's our estimate ahead of time, yeah, based on, it's really as simple as taking the number of vehicles that we identified during the application phase when we sent the application to the state. In order for them to award us, we have to have maps, and we have to show at that moment. And just to be clear, too, the SURF 3 wasn't designated to be a vehicular homelessness by the state. That's something that county staff, with Kimberly Alvers and used to be Lucille Voss and others, strategized to say that SURF 1 was, basically transit corridors. SURF 2 is the waterways, which is why we're focusing on the riverbed for SURF 2. And then SURF 3 was the next biggest, population, which can be as a really good target, because those are people that are just sort of falling into homelessness, and you can kind of get them out easier, is vehicular homelessness. So yes, there's $8 million for vehicular homelessness was a decision by county staff to go in that direction. 1.3 million is based on the number of vehicles that we counted in the Santa Maria city area. Out of that, once you take the $3 million for designated for permanent housing purposes, then the remainder of that money we divided up, and we come up with 1.3 million.
And you said that 160 people have been, over 160 people have been assisted down in the riverbed?
Oh, in the riverbed we had 110.
Oh,
110 persons have received services from Good Sam. And again, it's, you know, it varies the level of service that they want. I mean,
And 5 people, or yes, 5 individuals permanently housed.
permanently housed.
That's great.
Since we really started in earnest like this summer, yes. And, but we started outreach over the last year.
Well, again, thank you so much for your efforts and for everybody who's been a collaborator in this.
Thank you, and I have had a conversation with Supervisor Paulding as well as our supervisors here. So we see the necessity of having someone patrol that every day. Yes, Mr. Escobedo?
Yeah, just a question, clarification. The timeline for October, because you mentioned that it's a new phase on the project. Can you explain a little bit of what would be expecting on in terms of movement, in terms of cleaning, how that's going to look like, please?
Yeah, so what we've done is, you know, the way I was looking at this whole area was that there's a lot of folks out there, right? Well over 100. So in order to just try to go in within one, 3-day period and clean, try to basically resolve all the encampments at once, you would have a lot of people displaced with not that many beds available. So by kind of taking it in smaller bites or phases, we're trying to match the number of folks who are in those encampments to the number of available shelter beds, factoring in that not everybody wants to accept shelter. Some will go back to family, diversion. Other folks, will take the shelter beds, and some will go somewhere else that we don't know. So, based on some of those numbers, we're looking at. But I basically broke the phases down to 12 to 15 individuals, usually spread into 14, 15 encampments, each phase so far. So phase 3, that's about the same. There's about 15 to 16 encampments, probably 20 folks maximum in those encampments. And because we just moved quite a few folks out, and a lot of them took shelter beds, going to wait a few weeks for those people to kind of go through the system and open up more shelter beds. So my intent right now is to post on next Monday, October 7th, posting saying that this is a warning, and then following 1 week, October 14th, we'll go back out with the Sheriff's Department, Good Sam, and Rangers and so forth, and start clearing that out the week of October 14th. And that one may take a little longer because there's a lot of structures there as well that are pretty well developed.
Yeah, I was looking at how people has been adapting. They've been growing some corn. There's some trenches going down there, and it's becoming something like a whole community. But it's in a place that they're not supposed to be. It's not healthy for them. So, and as you mentioned, all these challenges that it's not like you can get there and get everybody and ask them to leave. It takes time. So I'm looking forward to see how that's coming along. And I said I'm looking forward to keep collaborating and have the County of Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, and the City of Santa Maria collaborating on addressing this huge issue. And also not just in terms of homelessness, but also health concerns that are going on. So, yeah, thank you.
Mr. Cordero.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, sir. Obviously, the rest of the council has shared with you that we certainly appreciate the input that we get and the success that we're having. Would you call these 3 jurisdictions that you mentioned, Santa Maria, SLO, and Santa Barbara County, would you call this a plan that you guys have to resolve?
Yes, we started discourse about a year ago on this. It was in October that we realized the complexity of the jurisdictional issues where the Santa Maria Riverbed, it's obviously called the Santa Maria Riverbed. It's pretty much adjacent to the city, and it has a significant effect, especially on the folks right there in Presker and the surrounding area who I've gotten to know very well over the last few weeks because they come over all the time and talk and appreciate what we're doing. So, but the jurisdiction of the riverbed, almost from that, the end of that railing you can see going out in terms of law enforcement is SLO County. And it was just by the nature of that, it's difficult to coordinate the jurisdiction.
Sure.
So I would say about a year ago, the staff that we have in CSD at the county, there was, like I said, Kimberly Hours, Lucille, they developed a good plan. They socialized, I would call it, the plan with Chen, and also I reached out to SLO County, and we engaged all the way from their CAO and supervisor's office there. So it was a lot of work getting processes and responsibilities divvied out accordingly, and so I would definitely call it a plan.
So all 3 of these jurisdictions are actively involved in this plan. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And don't forget Caltrans.
And Caltrans, yes. Thank you very much. It's a great job, and it's a difficult situation for all of us to deal with, and we're certainly glad that you're out there doing that for all of the community, particularly the unfortunate people that are out there.
Correct. You're very welcome.
Ms. Soto?
Thank you. I have one other question that, just based on the discussion that sparked my memory. I know that there have been syphilis and hepatitis C cases tied to individuals at the riverbed. And from my understanding, there are agreements between public health, the center in San Luis Obispo, the county of Santa Barbara. And so I'm just curious if you can speak to that and what those agreements between these public health agencies look like, including the county of Santa Barbara, and what is being done to be proactive in treating individuals who come in contact with these illnesses, and how we ensure that they receive the full treatment that they need, especially if it's for people who are pregnant.
Yeah, no, I mean, not a public health, representative or trained in that area myself. The simple way I would answer it is there was a lot of coordination. The nonprofit organizations in SLO County, as well as the public health department and our own public health department, we all have met regularly, and we kind of, right before we go out to post, we have more and more meetings and kind of get that coordination going. So all of the folks who had the, I don't want to say each and every one of them, but there was a plan coordinated amongst the outreach providers and the public health departments to track and complete the treatment of some of the conditions that you talked about. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to know the details because I'm there to do something else, right. But they took care of that.
Right. So, because the comments that I have heard have been that as we're going in and doing when we're going in there and doing these site cleanups, individuals who are currently receiving treatment end up getting scattered elsewhere. And so it's really difficult for these public health agencies like the center, for instance, to be able to continue to work with the individuals who need continuous treatment. And so I know that you may not have the answer to this, but I would just would really appreciate if this is something that we're doing, these quarterly updates, if we could also perhaps even get a memo from public health, from SLO, the center, Santa Barbara County Public Health, to ensure that, because right now the collaboration that you mentioned between these three agencies, I don't think once I heard about public health.
Well, I just didn't mention it, but there was not only there was public health, there was animal services and behavioral wellness. All those departments were coordinated. This was meant to be a fairly quick update, so I wasn't here to give that extensive of an analysis. But
no worries.
Yeah, I can go back to one particular meeting where we being myself and many of the departmental leaders in SLO County and Santa Barbara County on the public health issues that you addressed, and I said, well, what do we need to do to make sure that we have control of that situation? And the public health, I'm not sure what his title is exactly. I know he's a doctor in the SLO public health department, just said, I think we need 4 weeks to focus on outreach to all the folks that we know out there to come do our testing and make a plan. Give us 4 weeks, we'll have that plan. And then, so that what I did was I said, okay, instead of posting in 2 weeks, I'll bump everything a few more weeks, just slowed it down enough to where they can be rest assured that their communication with their clients, I mean, people have cell phones and they have plans, they designate to meet with them. So when they gave me that timeline and I met it,
great.
I believe they pretty much didn't lose track of anybody as far as I know, because they would have let me know, and they did let me know that we were headed down that road.
Okay.
That we need to slow this down.
Okay.
And they said, yeah, we have urgency here, but not enough urgency to be negligent of the things like this. So I listened to the doctors and said, how long do you need
Right.
They told me, I gave it to them, we moved forward. Animal services, same thing. I'm sure most people here walking on the levee have seen, loose Malinois and pit bulls and so forth. Well, SLO County Animal Services, we coordinated with them. They came out, did a long walk. Okay, plus there's roosters, chicken, like you said, lots of different animals. Kittens and cats, all those things were addressed by Care for Paws, another nonprofit out of SLO County, as well as the SLO County Animal Services was very collaborative. So I didn't mention all the departments because this was supposed to be sort of I believe I was told 5 to 6 minute update.
No, I understand, and I just really want to reiterate that as we're talking about cleanups and services, that we don't forget about those who may be in treatment.
They were not forgotten, certainly not forgotten, that's for sure. And
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Like I'm saying, I just want to make sure that that's also top of mind.
Thank you very much, Mr. Devonick. We appreciate that.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Mr. Wu, any other comments?
Yes,
That's it?
I want to give Sergeant Ramirez just a few
Okay.
minutes.
Sergeant Ramirez.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. Just to kind of echo off of what Joe's talking about is we've been able to establish a partnership with the county and the other agencies. So right now, the city rangers are patrolling 2 days a week out in the riverbed. Because of the terrain, we operate on ATVs or side-by-sides. Some of the things that we're also doing are identifying small camps and posting those notices for up to 8 hours to 48 hours to kind of get a tackle on everything before it turns into a large structure. The 2 weeks that we have been out there, or even the month that Joe's been out there, we've seen a reduction in fire responses for, warming fires or, the bushes catching fire because of open flame. But our people are very dedicated to patrolling that riverbed to create a safe environment for our members of the community. And we're also there to provide resources to the unhoused. Just to, thank Joe and his people for pushing the project forward. But I also like to recognize our Santa Maria City Rangers who patrol out there the 2 days a week, as well as the Santa Maria Police Department and members of our Parks divisions that go out there and clean up maybe every other day so that we could keep that safe environment.
Thank you. Mr. Escobedo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I had the pleasure of doing a ride along with the park rangers. Was actually with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we went to the riverbed, and it just want to commend you guys' work, and I know it's not an easy job. You gotta be sometimes the bad guys, but I appreciate what you and the police department do to enforce and to really be taking care of the areas that are supposed to be safe for our families. So thank you guys for all the effort and the dedication that you guys put in your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Cordero?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sergeant, the activities that you do out there, your responsibilities or the responsibility of your subordinates are part of the plan that the city is involved in. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Wu. Great update. Great update. Next item on the agenda is the consent calendar. Does anyone have items they wish to pull for discussion?
Public comment.
Pardon?
Public comment.
Oh, okay. Got to forget it. Next on the agenda is a public comment. Madam Clerk, could you please read the criteria for public comment?
Yes, public comment period not to exceed 15 minutes. Speakers may provide public comments on any matter within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes, again, maximum 15 minutes for the public comment period. Unless the majority of the council objects, the mayor may provide speakers more or less time to speak. All comments or queries shall be addressed to the council as a body and not to any specific member thereof. Pursuant to Government Code 549542A2, the Ralph M. Brown Act, no action or discussion by the City Council shall be undertaken on any item not appearing on the posted agenda, except to briefly provide information, ask for clarification, provide direction to staff, or schedule a matter for a future meeting.
Thank you. I have 3 slips, and we'll start with Scott Bramson, followed by Matt Cherkoff, followed by Gary Hall.
Good evening, council, city staff. I don't really have a speech prepared for tonight. I'm going to kind of shoot from the hip a little bit here tonight. I'll start by saying this. It's been almost a year since we've been out of contract, and it's been almost 2 years since we've received a cost of living increase. It is weighing on us heavily. We're urging you to do something. There's firefighters that are lower ranks now that are looking for jobs outside of the city on top of what they're doing here. That's not fair to them. It's not fair to the constituents that they serve. As you can see, that the handful of calls that these individuals have already ran just in the 30 or 40 minutes of sitting here, we're doing that for 48-hour shifts. They need to go home, spend time, recoup, so that not only they can be with their family, but they can come be the best firefighters for the constituents here. That's what they deserve, and that's what we deserve. I was informed today that one of our fire prevention individuals now qualifies for Section 8. Health insurance premiums from CalPERS are rising for us up to $200 a month. I don't think I'm mistaken to say that we are now the only bargaining unit that has to pay out of pocket for health insurance. That's another $200 a month that we're going to have to pay. We have individuals who are now having to seek additional child care to go out and get second jobs, and they're pulling from their savings to pay for that so they can pay their bills. It's pretty sad. Morale is at an all-time low. I'm not telling you that because that's what I want you to believe. I'm telling you that because it's the truth. I can tell you that almost every single day that I drive home, I get a phone call from one of my fellow firefighters that's asking, when do you think the contract dispute's going to be up? I don't know. At this point, I don't know, and I don't think anybody knows, and it's sad. It's really sad. I'm going to say this really quick, too. We are not in a lawsuit with the city. I don't know who's telling you guys that. I don't know if anyone can provide any direction. We filed a complaint with PERB, the Public Employees Relations Board. There's nothing that's in litigation. There's no reason you can't talk to us. You guys run the city. You are in charge of everybody in this room that's employed by the city. You need to do more. I want to personally invite you guys on the record. Please come talk with us. Anyone. We can resolve this issue. We don't need to get other people involved. Come talk to us. Just have a conversation about finances, about our pay, on how things are going. Please do it. Have a great night, and that's all I got.
Thank you. Matt Chertoff. And then Gary Hall.
Good evening, city staff, city council, members of the community, future city manager, Mr. Rollins. First, I want to welcome you. There's a lot of work ahead. There's a lot of challenges. We've heard about you and your family's history and city management, and we look forward to working together. As my colleague Scott mentioned, we're 277 days out of contract. We're 650 days without a cost of living adjustment. In October, when we started this, we were 14% the average market pay. And I want to repeat that, average market pay. Now, just 1 year later, your firefighters have fallen to 18% behind average market pay. At one of the prior city council meetings, it was stated at the advice of city attorney, you've been advised not to speak with us. It's your lack of communication that has resulted in this situation. You went so far as to even hire an outside lawyer to speak with us from the very beginning. Communication is what fixes this. We're asking for you to talk with us. I will make any time available to speak with you or to speak with anyone that represents you. I want to get through this. I think we all want to get through this. There's some big challenges ahead, and we need to tackle them together. Now, I do want to clarify, a member of the community made a few comments last few council meetings about why there hasn't been mediation. Well, when we're at the bargaining table and your hired representative says, quote, it comes down to priority, we are not claiming an inability to pay, end quote. That doesn't say mediation is going to fix anything. City Hall, City Council, you gave us the last, best, and final. You declared impasse, and you told us 30 days later you will impose. Well, that was April 8th. It's October 1st. I look forward to speaking with you. Thank you.
Gary Hall.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, staff, and the public who's watching. My name is Gary Hall. I'm a resident of Rancho Buena Vista Mobile Estates at 2135 North Railroad Avenue here in Santa Maria. I represent the North Santa Barbara County Manufactured Homeowners Team, or NSBIT. Our NSBIT goal remains to provide protection to all Santa Maria mobile home residents presently living in an unregulated rental market where the current model lease program has been ineffective in protecting homeowner equity and maintaining affordable mobile home housing. The model lease has not adequately addressed the need for mobile home rent stabilization in Santa Maria, and it needs to be improved or replaced. Following the June 6, 2022 motion passed by this council, we have been attempting to do that. Thanks to Assistant City Manager Wu, we continue the work. It is my understanding, and I bring evidence, that a bilingual model lease information document has been sent to all the mobile home park residents announcing a series of community and resident outreach meetings which are set to start this Saturday, October 5th. We look forward to reporting back a very successful outreach effort. Now, on a different subject, I have mentioned to you twice previously. The subject is the inappropriate conversion of senior mobile home parks to all-age parks. Following the sale of the senior park Del Cielo Mobile Estates, which is located just outside our city limits, and without even consulting with the approximate 300 senior residents, the new owner has decided they want to convert the park into an all-age community. Santa Maria County residents have initiated an effort to get a moratorium passed preventing this conversion until a senior mobile home park overlay can be enacted like what was necessary in Ventura County. The subject is supposed to be on the Santa Barbara County Board of Supervisors meeting on October 8. I continue to mention this because a similar action may be needed to protect the senior mobile home park residents in Santa Maria. At the last meeting, Mayor Patino mentioned the existence of a relevant Santa Maria ordinance. Unfortunately, Title 12, Chapter 12-9A, Article 1 only applies to the conversion of mobile home parks to other uses, not a senior to all-age park conversion. My final comment is dealing with the concern that I have regarding the continuing impasse between the city and our firefighters. I want to once again make an appeal to introduce transparency regarding the contract negotiations. The impasse declared 5 months ago. Please explain to me and all the citizens of the city why no mediation has begun and what is required to find a suitable compromise between the city and the firefighters. I fear this impasse is putting public safety at risk. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Mr. Watson.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I just want to clarify for the record, the reason that there has been not any further discussion is based on advice of counsel, which is an outside employment law specialist that the city has engaged for all negotiations, not just for firefighters. The choice that Local 2020 made by filing a claim, actually 2 claims, with the Public Employee Relations Board has resulted in a determination that it is in the best interest of the city to go through the mediation process where the board selects a mediator and an impartial third party has the opportunity to discuss the issues of the firefighter pay with members of the negotiating team on behalf of the city and members of the negotiating team on behalf of the firefighters. We are waiting for that mediator to be named. As soon as that happens, the city welcomes the opportunity to mediate. We don't want to be in this situation either. However, it would be inappropriate and potentially be a claim of retaliation by Local 2020 for this board and for their board and you members to have discussions about pay outside the scope of that mediation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Has a raised hand.
I know that. I'm sorry, Mr. Chircott. We're not discussing this. We just had public comment. The next item on the agenda is the consent calendar. Does anyone have items they wish to pull for discussion?
No, Madam Mayor.
Anyone? Okay.
If not, I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Escobedo.
Aye.
Councilmember Aguilar Hernandez.
Aye.
Councilmember Cordero.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Soto.
Aye.
Mayor Patino.
Aye. Next on the agenda is a regular business item on the employment agreement for city manager. The interim city manager, Alex Posada, will be presenting it for us.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the City Council, in your staff report tonight, you have the contract agreement with Mr. David W. Rollins to fill in as the city's next city manager. We are very excited to bring this item to you. Mr. Rollins and his wife are here tonight. I believe we've answered all the questions associated with it. If you have any specific questions, we'd like to make the recommendation that you agree in his employment and his employment contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the council?
No.
Okay.
Just a comment, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Escobedo.
I hope you like Tri-Tip. Welcome to Santa Maria.
Welcome to Summer. I'd like to move that we approve the contract.
Oh, well, do we have any requests to speak?
I'll second it.
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay. I'm ready for the motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Aguilar Hernandez.
Aye.
Councilmember Escobedo.
Aye.
Councilmember Cordero.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Soto.
Aye.
Mayor Patino.
Aye. Mr. Rollins, would you like to come and make some comments?
All right. Well, thank you. Really, my wife and I, Kristen, my best supporter here for my whole career, really are looking forward to this. There is nothing but opportunities here. Heard the words challenged earlier. We're going to get rid of all that. There's be an opportunity. Looking forward to working with your union and every other union here, working with the city council as a team, working collaboratively with every one of the department directors here. We're going to move the city forward and keep it going in a very positive direction. This is an unbelievable city. My wife and I came here 4 times before we actually made the decision to apply for the position. We have friends who live in the area. So we did our homework to come here. And this was a big decision for us to uproot our family from Fillmore to come here, but we're very happy to be here. Can't wait to get started December 1st officially. But in the meantime, I will be reaching out to City Council, ask for a couple questions and some names of people to meet, talking with department head team on issues that they have. And I'm allowed to talk to some of the bargaining unit members as well to kind of see what their concerns are and what they would like to see from the city manager coming forward. So again, thank you for everything. I'm very looking forward to coming back up here in a few weeks. Thank you very much.
Welcome to Santa Maria. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is an update on the city's general fund forecast for fiscal year 2024-26. Interim Director of Finance, Xenia Bradford, will be presenting.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this item is in front of you. As you would recall, during the budget adoption in June for the 2-year financial plan, there was a significant budget deficit identified, and the Council directed staff to come back in the September timeframe to continue the discussions and to begin mapping a plan on how to close that budget gap. So the recommendations for today for you are to receive a general fund long-term fiscal sustainability forecast update, to receive staff analysis and recommendations for closing the structural budget gap, and to provide general policy direction to staff. So first, we'll be looking at the updated general fund forecast for general fund and Measure U. As I've mentioned, this budget deficit was identified over the last year. primary contributors to the fact that the budget deficit exists is the cost of personnel. So addition of personnel as well as higher cost of personnel. So our revenues are not keeping up with our expenditures when it comes to general fund. The revenues for the general fund come primarily from sales tax, property tax, TOT, and charges for services. The City Council has already implemented policies to charge 100% fee recovery for all of the charges for services, with the exception of recreational parks fees, which are currently being updated but are typically subsidized in order to be able to, for our community to be able to afford those services. So since you asked saw this forecast, we have closed the previous fiscal year, 23-24, and this forecast has been updated with the year-end results, as well as with the latest trends in our major revenue categories. So the TOT continues to underperform from our expectations, and also sales tax came in lower than we had originally expected. Both of those revenue sources continue to grow, but at modest rates of 2 to 3%. The property tax is doing fairly well and continues to grow. We do still have development in the city. So all of those new or updated trends have been plugged into this forecast, as well as something that we have done is apply across the board 3% salary savings assumption to all of the salaries and benefits in the general fund for our employees. Now that's an assumption, it's not a budget. Forecast is a forecasting tool versus a budgeting tool. So this will be evolving throughout the year as we continue to resolve updates. We'll be presenting those updates to you through quarterly reports and also before you move into adoption of the second year of the biennial plan for 25-26. So this is not a conservative approach from a budgeting perspective because we may or may not achieve a 3% savings throughout our salaries and benefits component of the budget. But just for an illustration, because we typically tend to see those savings at the end of the year, we have prepared this type of forecast to show you of what that best scenario may look like. I would also remind you that this forecast does not assume any investment into capital improvement program from general fund or Measure U going forward. So this here shows you the year-end results. So there's some positive news that we have $3.3 million positive variance into our fund balance. In the general fund, we realized a combination of savings from salary savings and then revenue variations to where we have $2.4 million more contributed to fund balance than we originally expected. Most of that was due to a revenue source that usually doesn't occur from a sale of property. That doesn't usually happen once in 10 years or longer, so it's a one-time positive impact. In Measure U, there was a project that was originally scheduled to be paid as a one-time payment, but ended up being something that's subscription-based for the police department, so that was the reason for that saving. So $3.3 million will be a positive fund balance impact that you will be seeing going forward compared to what you saw during the budget adoption. This chart here just shows an illustration that for 24-25, the adopted budget is budgeted to draw $21 million from fund reserves within the general fund and Measure U. If we do apply this illustration of the fiscal forecast to where we look at the best scenario from our expenditure perspective and apply the methodology of expecting salary savings, we can estimate that maybe the draw will be as low as $19 million. So that is a 2.2 positive variance. Once again, this is not a budgetary recommendation. This is just an illustration to pick up the trends that we typically see at year-end results. So in order to begin the discussions on budget balancing, we have worked with all the departments to where all of the departments were engaged and were given some targets in order for us to close the budget gap. This here shows you how we determined what the ongoing budget gap is. So you will see the $21.3 million as our budgeted draw on fund balances that we expect. However, there was a $3.3 million transfer into the insurance funds for some self-insurance as well as increased costs of our workers' comp and liability. And we have taken that out for this particular exercise because there's some uncertainty whether this would be an ongoing need to continue to provide those funds on an ongoing basis. So at this point, it's a one-time expenditure until we work through this program and have more information. However, the trends are that insurance is being more expensive throughout the state. So there's some anticipation that this subject matter might be coming up for additional needing of funds. $1.2 million was a Measure U CIP capital improvement project, so that's definitely a one-time expenditure. So that got us to $16.7 million in terms of our structural budget deficit. This figure here was an exercise of looking at how much of general fund and Measure U is contributed to each department's operation. And so in order to close the budget gap, it was about 14% of overall general fund contributions that we need to reduce if the budget gap would be closed by reductions in operations. So we applied an even ratio to the funding to the departments, and that's how we came up with these goals for each department to equally contribute to the budget gap closure. Obviously, that's not required. The council has the full discretion to prioritize the funds across the functions. Departments turned in about $14.8 million in various reductions in response to this exercise. And finance and city manager staff have analyzed those submissions and have grouped them into 3 separate categories. So tier 1 is a category where staff felt that they could manage the reductions with limited, minimal impacts to the community. Tier 2 was reductions that would actually be seen in terms of there will be an impact to the community that the community would be feeling in terms of their service levels, or there could be significant inefficiencies as a result in the departments. And then tier 3 is where the most significant impacts would be. And naturally, because a lot of the general fund funds go towards public safety, those significant impacts were in fire and the police department, to where if they were to contribute those reductions, there would be significant impacts. And so we put those into tier 3, which would not be recommended to move forward because there would be a lot more need to work with the departments and look for other alternatives. So in order to also look at the other side of the equation, we also looked at revenue enhancement options. And so this chart here really represents a menu. It is fairly all-encompassing, not completely, to what revenue sources are available to the city. There's no specific recommendations in terms of which one is better than the other at this point. It's just informational for the city council of what revenue sources could be pursued for the city to increase the revenue side of the equation versus just relying on the reductions. So I'll quickly go through these revenue sources. In general terms, I would mention that, as you will see on the right of this chart, a majority of these revenue sources do require a voter approval. So there would be some delay in terms of when the city would be prepared and able to put any of these options on a ballot, and then when the city would be able to actually potentially collect from those revenue sources. So the first one is sales tax. We have the capacity based on the state laws to increase the sales tax by another 0.5%. We do currently receive 1% from our general distribution from the state, as well as we have 1% Measure U local sales tax. So 0.5% sales tax could generate about another $13.5 million a year. The landscaping district is something that's already in the works. The City Council had a presentation late last fiscal year on landscaping district. There's different options, but the citywide landscape district could double the revenue that we currently have at $24 million instead of 12, and could also save potentially some of the general fund money that is a match that's contributed to those operations currently of $660,000. The Downtown Improvement District is...
One moment, Ms. Bradford. Ms. Aguilera Hernandez has a question.
Doesn't work. Question, the landscape district requires further study. What is that is required to further study?
Well, the Recreation and Park Department are continuing to study. You gave them direction when the item was presented, so I believe that that work is still in the way. That requires further study. Here, I meant to say that in terms of what dollar amount and what options will be chosen, I didn't put a specific amount, but that work is underway.
Okay, thank you.
So Downtown Improvement District is another work item that the city has already been engaging in, and that would be to potentially form a downtown improvement district for the parcels and the businesses that are downtown to benefit the downtown itself. The transient occupancy tax, the county and several jurisdictions in Santa Barbara County are considering and putting on a ballot raising the transit occupancy tax to 14%. The city of Santa Maria currently charges 10% that comes to the city, and then another 2% goes towards the chamber and the tourism operations. So that if the city of Santa Maria considered increasing transient occupancy tax by another 4%, that would generate $1.6 million. Cannabis tax is another allowable source of revenue in the state of California. Cannabis can be allowed, in operations of cannabis of different types can be regulated and taxed within the city of Santa Maria, which currently the city does not do. So the revenue there would really depend on how extensive that program and those regulations would be. So we just estimated a rough $300,000 for a minimal operation to $2 million. And that's comparable to other jurisdictions. Parking fees would require further study in terms of just the feasibility of where that type of program may fit in the city of Santa Maria. Typically, parking fees are established where there is a high concentration of parking that needs to be regulated and then charged. Parcel tax is just another allowable source for municipalities to charge parcels for something that's specific benefit to that parcel. So that could vary from various programs. Stormwater could be an example of that, but that would require further study in terms of what the city might actually pursue. As I mentioned before, there is an update for recreation and parks fees that's already underway. And as I mentioned, it's heavily subsidized right now, but we're doing an update, and the council would have a policy choice to make once the information is available as to whether to increase any of those subsidies or maintain them.
Excuse me 1 minute. Mr. Cordero has a question.
Based on your comment about the cannabis, I've got about 3 people that probably already dialing my home phone number. How does, since we don't have any delivery system for cannabis within the city, how does that money come in? Now, I know the answer to that, but I'd like them to hear you say it because I know that they're watching this.
It would require further study, but if the city did have regulations established at the city council level, then the city would be able to enforce those regulations and also collect taxes for various stages of cannabis production or sales.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, 1 minute. Ms. Jessica Bello.
Thank you, Mary. You mentioned the stages of production can you explain a little bit more on, cannabis is, what does that mean?
I can give you some general comments. I worked with City of San Luis Obispo when when cannabis first became legal, and did a lot of research, but it's been a while. But you can basically tax everything from growing to producing to then distributing and selling. And some jurisdictions, for example, City of San Luis Obispo does exactly that.
So I just want to clarify, we don't have cannabis in the city limits. So this is something we're talking about if the vote changed on council and that happened in the future, that is a number that could be generated. But as of now, it's not before us. We don't have cannabis in city limits. So I was kind of confused why this number is in here if it's not something we could do a month from now or even 3 months from now. So I just want to clarify.
Yes, thank you, Council. This is definitely a very rough number that's provided from just a rough estimate of if a city allowed, for example, one distribution center or something more extensive. And yes, the City of Santa Maria currently does not have regulations allowing any particular business activity.
You can avoid selling it, but you can have distribution, basically make the place where it can be sent to other places, right? Not necessarily selling cannabis in town.
It would be something that the council would have to enact into your city code.
Well, okay, along that lines, because there is delivery, because the governor said you could deliver in the state.
That's a long.
So then how would that affect the taxing of delivery?
If the city was regulating delivery, then the city would be tracking that delivery and collecting revenue.
Mr. Posada.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. So the idea here, Councilmember Aguilera's question, is that these are just ideas that are out there of options. We have several already established fees and charges. So that kind of has set our threshold of what we're bringing in revenue-wise. So these are things that are outside of the norm that we have done. It's part of the following question on this will be, where do you want staff to go and look for revenue options? And that's really what we're doing here. We tried to base the estimates either on numbers that we know, like the sales tax, but we also looked at what other cities in the vicinity were doing when it came to things like the Downtown Improvement District, transient occupancy, cannabis, parking fees. We did look closely at everything that was going on in the other cities to kind of help us get an idea what fees could look like. So again, simply an estimate, simply ideas, food for thought, as it were, from the council to give us direction.
Thank you. Ms. Bradford?
Thank you, Mayor. The utility users tax is another taxable item that the City of Santa Maria currently does not tax. So that's essentially taxing your utilities that are existent in the city. Fire medical response fee is something that the city manager's office has looked into and has additional information in terms of the fact that other jurisdictions have charges for fire medical response, and some of that may be reimbursable through medical insurance. And I'll just go to the last one, and then if Mr. Posada has any additional comments. Business license tax. Currently, the City of Santa Maria has a business license tax structure that is by tier, and so it essentially a regressive tax to where the smaller businesses pay a higher share of their sales, their income, because it's capped at $500 at the highest end.
I have a question about the utility user tax. When we discussed the price increase in utilities, we were told that we couldn't charge more than what the service that we were providing. How are we able to tax utilities?
That is correct. By Proposition 218, the Utilities Department, water, wastewater, can only charge the equivalent value to pay for their operations and for their capital improvement program, so they cannot make a profit. However, a utility user's tax is a different source of revenue that a city could impose with a voter approval to tax your telephone and other types of utilities within the city.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor,
Posada.
members of the City Council. So again, what we tried to do is just bring some ideas forward. Some of these actually have come from council members. We've talked about these. We're hoping that what we can do is take the time over the next few months to bring back some better researched numbers on some of these options based on your opinions tonight. Where would you like us to go? Everything, as Ms. Bradford has mentioned, on the right-hand side of the column, generally you're going to have to go to the voters. So those are requests for them to increase the fees that they themselves pay or the taxes that they pay on their residences or their consumption. So we really don't see another option simply through the budget cut process. The budget reductions, are significant that are being proposed in that 14% reduction. So it can't be standalone. We really need to look at how can we increase revenue. And I think we've had these discussions, in the past that things like, business license fee, they're old. They've been around for a long time on the books. The Downtown Improvement District is, with our recent development agreement for downtown development, downtown's going to grow. There's going to be a need to have that revenue source coming in so that we can maintain it at a level that will continue to attract our residents. Transient occupancy tax, the county and other jurisdictions, as Ms. Bradford mentioned, are moving to a higher number. There's also a movement to look at things like the VRBO rentals and that they should be paying a transient occupancy tax. So there are a number of issues on here that it's not going to be, oh yeah, let's do this and it'll happen. It's going to take us a while. Staff's going to do some research. We hope that the new city manager is also going to bring in some new ideas to look at some of these things and maybe some past experiences in how to help us bridge that deficit. Yeah, I think that pretty much makes my comments. Thank you.
Yes. Mr. Escobedo?
Thank you, Mayor. And as from what you mentioned, these are just some ideas. Some other might come in, and it's not that we're like, as you mentioned, we're picking up this one, this not, this one. So just, I think it's going to be a challenge for the new city managers that coming in. And looking forward to find some ways to bring some revenue and create that, shorten that gap between our budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
A few more, so
Okay.
Ms. Bradford will continue.
Thank you. So just to summarize the recommendations, and Mr. Posada just spoke to those, staff recommends that we continue to further analyze the Tier 1 and the Tier 2 reductions, which were the reductions with the lesser impacts that really exclude all of the public safety. Those reductions total to about $4.3 million. We recommend that staff will continue to work through the details of those reductions and return to council with a second quarter financial report in February with specific budget amendments in alignment with those Tier 1 and Tier 2 proposed plans. Staff also recommends moving forward with studying revenue enhancement options. As we just mentioned, without any revenue enhancements, the reductions will continue to be significant. Even applying the most relaxed assumptions or best scenario assumptions to the forecast, we would still be looking at about $11.5 million reduction or budget gap that will need to be closed after or if we enact the Tier 1 and Tier 2 reductions. So that concludes the presentations.
Any questions of Ms. Bradford?
No.
Can you go back to the recommendations, please?
Mayor, Councilmember Soto, just real quickly, if you don't mind. I do want to take the opportunity to thank the staff that worked hard to come up with these things. The department directors and their staff rolled up their sleeves to come up with this, the $4.3 million in Tier 1 and Tier 2. The goal was to minimize the impact on the reserves. That was really the main discussion that we had. Instead of having to go to the reserves and consume $21 million of them, how could we reduce that number? And that's where Tier 1 and Tier 2 gets us to that $4.3 million in savings as far as the reserves go. Ideally, nobody wants to hit the reserves for this cost, but it is the safety net that's out there. So we are committed to try to figure out a way to minimize the impact on the reserves this year and in 25-26.
Thank you. Any questions of Ms. Bradford? Okay, I have
Do you-
3 requests to speak. Did you have a question, Ms. Soto?
Do you need us to vote on these?
No, we have a request to
No.
speak.
No.
Oh, this, okay.
It's just a
Any
presentation,
questions?
right? No.
Okay. Matt Churkoff, followed by Gabby Delgado and Adeline Espinosa, followed by Mitzi Mancia and Fatima Gabriela. Good evening.
Good evening again, City Council, City staff. I've been coming into these meetings, I haven't missed a meeting since early December. I hope we can all recognize that. Been paying attention, I've been up here speaking a lot. And earlier this year, I mentioned meeting after meeting after meeting, why was City Hall giving you budget adjustments for the future budget that was not out yet? It was to increase personnel, it was to increase purchases on equipment, build buildings. Of course we're talking about how to make more money. We already added more to the budget before the budget was even out. That needs to stop. Second of all, Councilmember Cordero mentioned earlier this year, the city has a pay first policy for all projects. Before they're shovel ready, you're gonna save every year, year after year after year. You're gonna take from today's services, you're gonna put it in savings account, and then you're gonna have all the cash on hand, like when you built the Maldonado Center and other projects around the city. That has to stop too. There was a lot of conversation about the cannabis tax, and I want to cite what happens in other agencies and up and down the state. When the voters of California passed that in 2016, a lot of police and fire departments, they advocated for sales tax related to that to be allocated to police and fire. That's working very well up in the 5 cities area right now. But also remember, well, 3 of the 5 of you weren't on council back in 2016 when city negotiated a deal with Winsett Farms, the largest hydroponic greenhouse in North America, who was growing tomatoes. And the development agreement made them promise not to switch from tomatoes to cannabis if marijuana became legal, in exchange for deferring of fees for another 10 years or so. Giving away fees to developers, to move car dealerships, to build buildings. I mean, maybe we should evaluate that. I didn't see that in the presentation, but I think that's really important. If we keep giving away, or not charging, I should say, for all of these services, that's also a problem. Another thing, we've asked the voters to approve Measure U twice, in 2012 and 2018 for implementation in 2020. It went from a quarter-cent, bringing in $4 to $6 million a year, to a 1 cent sales tax. It was estimated to bring in $18 million a year. It's now bringing in about $28 million a year. You can't, it doesn't seem like we're gonna be able to tax our way out of this if you can't manage the city's funds. That's where we need true leadership. That's what we need you to tell City Hall, to tell your staff, we can't keep giving these things away. We need to manage these things responsibly, Because if you're gonna tax the residents for a fire department to show up to their house, when you charge them property tax, sales tax, and then when we show up at their house, another tax, that's a triple tax. Thank
I
you.
have to clarify the Winstead Farms. I was in those meetings. You were
Yeah.
not. We did not give that away because they wouldn't grow marijuana.
Oh, I have the
Thank you.
document.
Gabby Delgado and Adeline Espinosa.
Good afternoon, esteemed City Council members and Madam Mayor. My name is Gabby Delgado, and I'm a program specialist for Fighting Back Santa Maria Valley. Unfortunately, Adelena Espinosa had to suddenly leave, but I will say these statements on her behalf. And let me just say, she wrote a beautiful letter. She is a senior at Pioneer Valley High School, and she's also a Youth Action Coalition student. I am here today to ask you to consider the following when considering bringing cannabis into my community. Marijuana use might have permanent effects on the developing brain when use begins in adolescence, especially when regular or heavy use. Compared with teens who do not use marijuana, teens who use marijuana are more likely to quit high school or not get a college degree. The brain continues to develop until around age 25. Meaning that many complex processes of the adolescent brain are still in progress. Neuroscientific research indicates that during this time, teens are especially vulnerable to the effects of cannabis. Delaying or preventing the start of regular marijuana use to adulthood can prevent long-term damage to neurons and ensure optimal brain health and functioning. Increased risk of mental health issues. Marijuana use has been linked to a range of mental health problems such as depression and social anxiety. People who use marijuana are more likely to develop temporary psychosis such as hallucinations or paranoia and long-lasting mental disorders, including schizophrenia. The association between marijuana and schizophrenia is stronger in people who start using marijuana at an earlier age and use marijuana more frequently. As in talking about addiction, approximately 3 in 10 people who use marijuana have marijuana use disorder. Some signs and symptoms of marijuana use disorder include trying but failing to quit using marijuana or giving up important activities with friends and family in order of using marijuana. The risk of developing marijuana use disorder is stronger in people who start using marijuana during youth or adolescence and who use marijuana more frequently. And one last statement. The Santa Barbara County Public Health Cannabis Education Program has valuable information on the public health impact of cannabis use and best practices for regulation. We respectfully encourage our esteemed City Council to invite them to present before making a decision. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council members, for your time.
Thank you.
What is your name again?
My name is Gabby Delgado.
Gabby Delgado?
Yes.
Call me.
Okay, I will.
Thank you for your comments. You're an impressive young lady, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Mitzi Mancia and Fatima Cabrera. Good evening, ladies.
Good evening, esteemed council members and Madam Mayor. My name is Mitzi Mancia.
My name is Fatima Cabrera.
We are both program specialists here in Santa Maria, and we are both currently working at Fighting Back Santa Maria Valley. We work directly with youth ages 12 to 17 in the entire Santa Barbara County who are found with possession of cannabis. We strive to educate the youth about the risks and consequences of underage cannabis use.
During our time working with these students throughout Santa Barbara County, we create a mentor and mentee relationship with a variety of students who open up with their struggles with cannabis use. Most commonly, we hear students as young as 12 and 13 years old expressing the struggles of substance use and not knowing how to stop using. Having cannabis products introduced them at every corner and having accessibility at the palm of their hands has created an ongoing and never-ending cycle of substance abuse.
There are a number of significant health concerns, as previously mentioned by Gabby, surrounding underage cannabis use. These include serious health effects on the developing brain, an increased risk of mental health problems like depression and schizophrenia, and an increased risk of cardiovascular disease, amongst other health concerns. Additionally, underage cannabis consumption often can decrease memory and academic performance.
We have worked with students who have been hospitalized due to fentanyl-infused cannabis edibles, students who found themselves with cannabis as a gateway drug and as a result developed further addictions, and students who have a never-ending relationship with police due to cannabis use. We have also worked with schools who have endured multiple mass student cannabis overdoses. We witnessed firsthand the importance of deterring cannabis from our youth.
We ask you here today for your support in helping us educate our youth and keeping our community free of cannabis. We encourage you to reach out to the Department of Public Health to find up-to-date information to better learn how cannabis use can affect our community prior to considering any cannabis policies. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies. Mr. Cordero, there's two more. Fighting back.
I'll talk to you when Gabby calls me.
Okay, before we receive and file, does council have questions or directions to provide to staff?
Madam Mayor, members of the council.
Yes, Mr. Posada.
So it would be ideal for you to let us know if we're on the right track to look for some of these revenue items and come back with more details. Also, in the reduction category that we showed, if there were any concerns or other ideas that you would like us to look at, we'd appreciate that input. Certainly, the Tier 1 and Tier 2 are our first, priorities and recommendations, I guess. Tier 3, again, from staff perspective, we need to work closer with police and fire and look at how these impacts could affect them in Tier 1 and Tier 2. We've pretty much pushed all their reductions off into Tier 3. So if any input you'd like to give us on that, or give us the California nod, and we'll proceed and come back to you in February as the finance director recommends.
Can you pull up those options again on the screen so we can look at those? Okay, Ms. Aguilar Hernandez.
It's difficult for me to decide on which ones because some of those require further study. So we don't know what numbers we're looking at, right, and whether we should make it a priority. At least for me, I would need to have numbers.
Yeah, and that may very well be what we do. I mean, we may want to study all of them. As Ms. Bradford indicated, landscape district study is already underway. We have a contract with DTA to finalize that and bring that back to you sometime later this year. The Downtown Improvement District is also already in the works with the Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Wu's been working on that along with the Chamber. The other items, I think they're all studyable. We're all able, if you want us to look at all of these, you certainly can do that. If you want to highlight some or tell me absolutely no on any of them, that's fine too. We can come back with those.
Mr. Cordero.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As is usually the case for me, I can't see letting anything go. And as much as I oppose the introduction of cannabis into the community, it would be a hard pull for me to vote for it. But I don't think it should be something that we should not look at. The numbers are the numbers. And, but I other than that one, I think that all of them should be explored, not just one or two of them.
Ms. Soto?
I agree that they should all be explored. There is one that's not on here that I think I mentioned during one of our meetings, and that's a soda tax or a sugar tax.
Thank you.
That is something that would not only benefit public health, but could also raise a significant amount of revenue. I would not like for us to look into a fire medical response fee or any type of public safety response fees. So I would like to see that one crossed out. But I think all of the other ones are open for further discussion, in my opinion, including
On
that
a
soda
fire
tax.
medical response fee, I mean, what, I can't even imagine us charging anyone for fire medical response. But Ms. Bradford said that the insurances pay that?
So there's several models out there. There are several jurisdictions that charge the fee, and a lot of them are dealing with medical assist typical calls that our firefighters respond to. What I would suggest is that we look at a couple of models of what's out there, and then you'll get a better idea of what the fees are and then what reimbursement is like. Because, you know, some insurance companies will reimburse, Medicare sometimes will reimburse. It really depends on the model that we choose. So it's an option to look at. I guess that's really what we're considering.
Mr. Cordero?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Some of the things that I've talked to some people about with regard to that is when we send a firefighter out or firefighters out to perform and they get to it and it turns out that the call really wasn't something they needed to do, like somebody was simply drunk or somebody was doing something else that was pretty much their fault, then they get a bill for that. It's not something that they, if somebody fell down and they had to go to their home and help them, then there wouldn't be a bill for that. And those, I think, is what what our city manager is referring to as the different models.
I guess I think of how often they've gone when someone overdoses on fentanyl, for
Sure.
example. So,
And those are medical calls. That's a
Yeah.
different variety. I think Councilmember Cordero is kind of on the right track. If it was sometimes they get called to a lifting call where they have to assist, lifting someone out of a bathtub or someone who's fallen in their home and can't get back in their bed. There are those kinds of calls that are, borderline medical. And I'm sure the chief will have an opinion on that, but we want to research it, and that's all we're really looking at. Again, even with the cannabis thing, I appreciate the comments from the Fighting Back staff, because we expect that any of these things could certainly have an impact to the community, and we want to hear everybody's input.
I personally, for the fire medical response fee, I think it would affect seniors in particularly unfairly, so I would have a problem with that type of tax, because I just think seniors do fall, and I don't want anybody to worry about a tax or their insurance and deter them from calling for fire medical response.
Sure, understand.
So what is the consensus? Do you want these all to be looked at, some of them to be looked at?
I'd like to have them all looked at, even I think the ones that Gloria brings up. I don't think we should be charging for our fire services to go out and do medical emergencies, but we should look at everything. There shouldn't be anything we shouldn't look at.
Mr. Escobedo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I think it would be, we're kind of like, what I hear is like some assumptions. We don't have clear information of what that's gonna look like. So I feel like study all of them even more. If that's, just let the door open for more, even constituents can be our new city manager. Just see what's, and then having all that information, I think that's the moment we can make more informed decisions on what it look like the farm medical response. I hear, it's not charging everybody, it's charging sometimes. So really, as of right now, I cannot make a decision of what yes, what now without the proper information.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, I look at like the parking fees. I don't know that we have any place that people are just beating down the doors to park. And I'm looking at recreation and parks fees, and we know those are seriously unpopular. So
They're all unpopular.
is that a low estimate? So should we just say everything? Is that what we're saying?
And the soda tax.
And the soda tax. Okay.
Sugar tax.
Sugar tax?
I like sugar tax.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Mr.
I
Barrera.
sugar. I disagree with you. I think that sugar tax could have a health issue that
Oh, yeah.
might be advantageous to the general public. I'm not, so I favor it.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Appreciate your input.
I come up with good ideas every once in a while.
Okay, so then we will receive and file. And council's happy with that? Everything goes? Okay, very good. Next report will be given by interim city manager, Mr. Posada. Thank you, Ms. Bradford.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. So I'm really happy to tell you that today is my last council meeting. I want to take the opportunity just to thank you for allowing me to serve in the position for the last year. It's been a great learning experience for me. I want to thank the department directors, my peers, for their support, their counsel on a lot of issues. The new personnel that we've brought on board with Mrs. Schwartz and Mrs. Reynoso in our HR. Especially want to thank Don Jackson for stepping up and filling in as our interim CHRO. HR, she's responded on several occasions to the needs in City Hall, so I truly want to thank her for that. Also, City Attorney Watson, I think he has been a great counsel to me, helping me understand the ropes, identifying the pitfalls that are in the job. So I want to thank him for that. It's been a really great adventure, I guess. So I'm happy to go back to Rec and Parks. I want to thank Angela Oslin for filling in for me there. We have a lot of work to do back at Rec and Parks, so I'm looking forward to getting back there. Certainly, my wife Julie is also due to be thanked. I hope she's probably watching tonight. We'll see.
Thank you, Mrs. Posada.
Yeah, thank you. But I think the city has been undergoing a lot of change over the last year, and I think it's going to be great to get Mr. Rollins to the wheelhouse and help get the ship steering in the right direction. So I'm really excited to be part of his team in that regard. Mr. Wu, again, has stepped up as interim assistant city manager and then accepted the appointment as assistant city manager, and will be taking over as of Saturday as the acting city manager until Mr. Rollins reports to work in December. So I'm happy for that. On to items. October 15th council meeting is canceled. That will be so that council members and staff can attend the League of Cities meeting in Long Beach. The November 5th council meeting will be canceled due to election day. So we won't be having a meeting there. So the February 19th agenda will be fairly busy. November the 19th. Thank you. See, I tell you, the city attorney's there to help me out. We will have a presentation of a executive certificate. I believe that's for Police Chief Schneider. A presentation of the Chamber of Commerce annual report. First quarter financial report. Ms. Bradford will be back with us for that. We have a cybersecurity grant that we'll be accepting, and contract awards for the sports complex, Taylor Miller Pocket Park, Manami Park parking lot, Church Street sewer project, and Prescott Park parking lot item, the REAP grant, Public conveyance and necessity determination, all beyond consent. Potentially an item from the Planning Commission on Richards Ranch. A Street and Fairway Drive land use map amendments and zone change. Those will all be, those two will be our regular business along with the first quarter financial report. The December 3rd meeting will be canceled. So December 17th will be, you'll have two meetings before the end of the year. December 17th meeting is usually the meeting where council will be announced after the election and seated after the election. Other than that, I have nothing else to report. Thank you. No meeting December 3rd, yes.
So now we have oral reports of council members. Ms. Soto, can we start with you?
I just want to thank Alex for his contributions as acting city manager. As you know, we've been on the search for a new city manager. And so Alex, it's been a pleasure working with you. And so thank you so much for your dedication and service to the city. And welcome to our new city manager and his wife.
Ms. Aguilar Hernandez?
Yes. Thank you, Alex, for the service. I know it's been a rough year. We've had a lot of changes, and a lot of challenges, a lot of successes as well. I also want to thank the new city manager and his wife. I think you're really going to like Santa Maria. I'm glad to know that you've already visited here a few times. So we're looking forward to moving the city forward. As to my events that I've attended. So on the 18th, I've attended the 51st Annual Law Enforcement Appreciation at the Elks. On the 19th, I attended the SB-CAG meeting, but I also attended the Smart Microtransit Service ribbon cutting, which is the new electric buses that you're going to have an app, and you're going to be able to summon them with the app to come and pick you up. It's really cool, all electric buses. On the 21st, I attended the Air Festival, the Air Show. On the 26th, I attended the North County Bar Association annual dinner. On the 27th, I attended the Econ Alliance Board meeting retreat. And also on the 27th, I went to the Highway 166 Black Road and traffic signal and safety improvement project, which is great because I think it's really going to improve the safety and slow down traffic there. You know, and they're also, the county also announced that they're going to be studying the area to hopefully improve it and make it larger, because it does take a long time to get to Guadalupe or just be on that road certain times of the day. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Escobedo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On September 18, I attended this Santa Maria Elks Lodge 51st Annual Law Enforcement Appreciation Night. And on Saturday, September 21st, I attended Navy Veteran for a party, 100 years old party for Bob at Casa Grande. Congratulations, Bob. It was a great experience, and also would like to recognize Mr. Posada's effort on, hustling for a year more. And I know it was a challenge, but I think you did a great job, and I commend you for your work. And I'm looking forward to working with our new city manager and look at a little bit of what you're gonna be dealing. I know you've been watching us on TV, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to working with you too, as mentioned before, and you mentioned it, to move the city forward. So welcome. Bienvenidos a Santa Maria. Welcome.
Mr. Cordero.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I, too, was at the Officer of the Year event at the Elks, and thank you for assigning that to me, Madam Mayor, and I was pleased to hand out the certificates to all of the recipients. It's been going on for a long time and a long tradition. I attended the ribbon cutting for the Transit Center and received a small gift from the people that build those buses. On the 20th, I was involved in a matter with the new city manager, the process. In the 21st, I had the very esteemed honor to attend the 100th birthday for Bob Metzer, I think is his name. He is a U.S. Navy retiree that fought in the Second World War. And the Navy did it right. They sent 14 uniformed members to help celebrate Bob's birthday. And he was pretty spry. He was in a wheelchair, but he was pretty spry. 100 years old. He was born on September 21st, 1921. On the 24th, I attended a special closed session for the council. On the 27th, I was at the 166 red light ribbon cutting. That was 15 years in the making, right, Mayor? 15 years it took for the city and the county and everybody going back and forth with the state, Caltrans, and it just seems to me to be too long, but nevertheless, that's what it was. And then on the 28th, I was at the Merrill Gardens for a meet and greet there, where we had an opportunity to share some thoughts with many of the people who, as most of you know, that's a senior citizens home, and they were very articulate, had very intellectual questions about what's going on in the city. They were a couple of them that I would even say were a bit feisty. And that would be it for me, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's see, I did the Ben Hayes Show on September 17th and on the 18th and 19th, and thank you very much for covering for me at SB-CAG. I attended the 3CE annual meeting, and on the September 20th, I attended Fighting Back Santa Maria board meeting. I attended the Air Show, and I also attended Navy veteran Bob Metzer 100th birthday celebration. He was featured on Hometown Heroes they do on Saturday morning, so it told a lot about him. And he was on one of the ships, I guess, that survived. Maybe part of it survived in Honolulu. I attended on the 22nd the California Alliance of Local Electeds. And the September 25th, Marion Regional Medical Foundation Board meeting. On the 26th, the Public Officials Night with Home Builders Association. I attended Merrill Gardens on the 28th to speak to the residents there. And I also attended the Highway 166 ribbon cutting. And as I am sitting there and looking at the lights and looking at everyone goes by, there goes a truck running the red light. And I hit Mr. Lavanino, who was I said, look at that truck. And he was just going through the red light. There were highway patrolmen there, but I guess I was the only one that saw that. And I think that is it. And thank you very much. Any other things from council? If not, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.